Hi everyone, in this video I'm going to share some tips on drawing more of a silver coloured fur in pastels. Now for this I'm going to demonstrate it on an Italian Greyhound pastel drawing that I've recently completed. Now before I can start with the fur, I like to get the eyes drawn in first. This is where the main emotion and expression stems from, so I want to be making sure that I've got that accurate before I consider any other part of the drawing. Now my first tip when drawing any eyes is if there are larger, really bright highlights in the eye, then I like to make sure that I use a white Carbothello pencil first so that I've got those highlights as bright as they can possibly be, and I can always darken those up later in stages if needed. But having that white pastel in first will just preserve more of that contrast and help with that expression that I'm trying to capture. Now both of these eyes is a great example of that. On the left with the eye that I started with, those highlights there are tiny, so I added those with my white pencil later. Whereas on the right hand side, that white reflection is much brighter, so I started with the white pencil first. Now when it came to working on the fur, the one aspect that I really focused the real-time version of this tutorial on was how to pick the pencils and what colours to use depending on the reference photo that we're working from. Now in this I show how to use a simple colour wheel system, and it can massively help with knowing which pencils we should be using. Quite often we've got far too many pencils in front of us and it can make it really overwhelming knowing where to start. Now one of my biggest tips if you are drawing a fur colour like this is to not just assume that it's going to be grey. We normally would have that tendency with any silvery sort of effect, but because of the way that that fur can be more reflective, it's going to pick up some colours in the environment. So here for example, I'm using a couple of the Derwent pencils, this one is the Venetian Red, to help give me a slightly pink, warmer tint to that grey base layer I started with. Now this is one of the reasons I love working with pastels, because how those colours are layered and adjusted in that layering process can give us a range of effects. That colour can be adjusted if we're using the same combination of pencils but in a different order. So I want to be making sure that when I am adding in my layers that I am hinting whether or not there is a warmth or a cool colour to that, but also my contrast. Now contrast is something that I do focus all of my tutorials on because it's what makes that portrait look three-dimensional. As I start building in some of my initial layers of detail here, you can see that by having my base foundation smooth with the lights and darks, I'm already hinting at a degree of softness. It's already starting to create more of that shape and form because I've got my values right. Now for this colour, because I did focus on the warmth of that fur with some of those purple tints and those pinks, it's creating the fur colour at that base layer stage, so that when I come in with my details, I'm not really having to reinforce the colour as such. So here is a prime example. I've come back in with some more of my pinks and my greys, a couple of my darker colours, because I felt like the fur colour in general there needed to be adjusted. In this situation, I don't really want to be adjusting the main bulk of that colour with my details. I want that colour to be established at my base layer stage. Now again, this is something that the real-time tutorial really does focus on. This is such a beautiful reference photo to work on, and that short fur and how to get those tiny delicate details requires the right pencil technique. So this is a good project if you're looking to sort of refine all of your key fundamental techniques that are so crucial and valuable when drawing realism. Now when I worked on the rest of the face, this is where pencil technique is very important. Now I focus on three main things: the fur direction, the fur length and fur thickness. But before I can get into that, again, I need to focus on my base foundation. Now if I'm working from a reference photo that has a one-sided light source, a little bit like it is in this photo here, I want to be making sure that I've captured that. So the left side here is darker and on the right it is brighter. That also there is really coming together when I start with the eyes. Going back to what I mentioned at the beginning where I've got that brighter highlight on the right eye, now I've got more of my highlights on the fur under the right eye and so on. All of this is going to help with increasing the level of depth. Now as I'm working here, I am sort of breaking this up into very small sections, and this is helping to make sure that my lights and my darks are accurate in their placement. Now this is also something that will affect the shape and form. Just like the fur direction, the placement of the highlights and shadows are not random. they do follow the underlying bone and muscular structure. So for example, the two darker areas either side of the bridge of the nose, that's actually hinting at where it starts to slope over to where the cheeks are. So making sure that I've got the placement accurate here is crucial. So once I do have this really nice blended base layer and hinting at that main colour, as I've mentioned already, this is where I'm going to start to put in some of my details. Now my biggest tip for this stage is try not to jump into your brightest highlights first. You want to save those for your later layers. So instead I'm just using a mid-range grey. This is the Carbothello 720, and I'm using this just to hint at that fur direction. When working on smaller drawings like this, it's important to make sure that we don't add too many details. More details on smaller drawings can actually make the fur look less realistic because it gives it a bit more of a wiry appearance. Now, as you can see here from zooming out, the face of the dog is just sort of peering out of the blanket. So the face is actually quite small in relation to everything else. So if I added too many details here, this would look far flatter, and it would also cover up a lot of those base layers. So that's when we would affect the contrast, because more of those darker layers wouldn't be able to show through. So if you are working on smaller drawings or the face of the dog is smaller, if there are other elements in the piece, then it's really important to make sure that we're just paying very close attention to how many of those details we add. Now regarding the fur length, this is really important, and making sure that we've got that just right is going to again affect how realistic the drawing looks for the animal that we are working on. So because this is an Italian Greyhound and they do have naturally very short hair, if I kept my pencil strokes far longer, then I'm going to give it a fluffier appearance, which of course wouldn't work well with this breed. So I need to be making sure that I am adjusting that and noticing if there is any subtle changes. For example, the fur around the nose and muzzle area is going to be significantly shorter than the fur on the top of the head, even for a shorter coated breed like this. So I want to be making sure that that is something that I'm really studying. Now for the rest of this portrait, this is where I used more of my blending and softening techniques, because the ears and the back legs there, where it's sort of coiled up, are out of focus. Now they're not out of focus to the point that they're really blurry, so I don't want to over blend, but I do want to make sure that I've got a softness, not having too much detail there, so that more of that focus remains on the face. Now when drawing toes, feet, anything like that, I find it much easier to just work on one toe at a time. This was more so especially the case for this drawing, because the way that the legs were sort of coiled up here, it didn't really look like feet at all. So what I wanted to do to simplify this process is just focus on the lights and the darks. If they're in the right place, by the time I've got my contrast right as I'm building up my layers, it will look like that reference photo. Now one big tip, if you are working on something where you're getting a little bit confused as to what you're drawing, where you are, you're losing your place a little bit more easily, then one thing that can help is to turn your artwork upside down and the reference photo upside down, and your brain will be forced to see it for abstract shapes rather than, in this case, the foot of that dog. Okay, now onto the blanket. I'm actually going to make another video for YouTube where I'm going to take a section of this blanket and make a separate, slower video so that I can really show that layering process. So that will be coming up very soon. But for now, I'll just include a few quick tips on how to draw fabric like this. Now this blanket, it was very dark. I actually liked it for this reference photo because it made the face stand out even more. But there was still a blanket texture with those little fibres that I wanted to create. Now what was really important here, again, just like working on the fur, is getting a good base layer established first. So as you can see, I've got no harsh edges. Everything is a little bit more soft and blended, but not over blended. I can still see the separation between the folds in the fabric where it is a little bit more curved over, where there is a dip in that blanket there. I want to be making sure that I've captured that. Now once I've got my lights and my darks right, making sure that my base layer is not too bright, I can then start coming in with my details and hinting at that texture. Now depending on the blanket that you're drawing, those fibres might be a little bit longer. So it's just about with the fur direction as well, that sort of thing, extending the length of those pencil strokes, making sure that we're curving them where needed and so on. So in terms of the blanket here, it's exactly the same pencil technique that we did with the fur. It's just making sure that we are adjusting that in relation to this area of the drawing. But the layering process is also similar. Making sure that we've got everything nice and blended is really important, especially when drawing fabric like this. Any harsh edges between the lights and the darks is going to make that blanket look very, very flat, almost like it's a bit squared off. We want to be making sure that we've captured that impression that it's curving over, almost like a ribbon. Now, if I can capture that, I'm going to have more of that flow of that fabric and make it look like it is more ruffled up here. Now, when I'm working with the blanket texture, again, I'm just focusing on the shapes that I see. I'm not trying to add in the detail at my base layer stage. If I focus on where those main highlights and shadows are, even without any details here, this looks like fabric. So once I've got that base layer to this level, that's when I know I can move on to the details. Now, at some points here in the tutorial, I'm using a pencil and it doesn't really look like much is happening. The details aren't that visible. But for me, this is a crucial part in any layering process of any drawing that I'm working on. Those subtle layers help to provide that initial layer of softness, which for a blanket like this that has a bit more of that fleecy texture, I really want to capture that level of softness. So here, if I was to jump into my brightest pencils, those details are going to look really flat. They could actually look a little bit like sort of pebbles or little bits of shingle because I don't have the softness with my mid-tone layers underneath. Now, my personal preference is to work in smaller sections. I want to be making sure that I'm not ever rushing any part, and I know for me personally that if I do work in whole individual layers, I'm more likely to do that. Now, with something here where we've got all of these creases and folds of the fabric where it is bunched up, if I work in whole solid layers, I know that I'm more likely to just put more of a solid base of one or two colours and I lose where my main lights and darks are. Now, going back to what I've mentioned right from the beginning of this video, the placement of the highlights and shadows is so important for the level of realism and getting that shape and form that I want to be making sure that I've got that at my base layer stage. So I just personally find that working in smaller sections, I'm able to achieve that more easily. Now, this corner is very dark. It didn't have the same folds of fabric on the left side, so I was able to work through this section a little bit quicker. But what's really important here is not to rush. Now, this is like when we draw the chest of a head and shoulder type portrait, the grass, something that is more towards the end of that drawing. If we start to rush through those layers, that level of realism in that section is going to be affected, and it will unfortunately then bring down the entire drawing. So when I know that I've got an area that might look easier, I'm very aware to make sure that each layer still is at the right standard, just so that I know I've got that level of realism that I want. So if I was drawing a blanket that was another darker colour, so if it was a dark blue, maybe a brown, a beige, something like that, I would use the same layering process, but I would make sure to add the vibrant colours first. So let's say it was a really bright blue, like a coral blue. If you want that bright colour saturation in and captured, I would recommend to put that in first and then darken it up, just so that we're less likely to create those muddy colours. If I was drawing a blanket that was white or a very light colour, then I would actually be working light to dark. So I wouldn't be as bold with my darks at my base foundation like what I am here, because I want to be making sure that that blanket isn't too dark overall. We can add those darks later where needed, but working with a little bit more of a cautious layering approach for lighter fabric colours is just one other way that we can help to take that pressure off of ourselves in that layering process. Now, if you would like to see other tutorials where I'm using more of a vibrant base, drawing an animal that is a bit more colourful and how that layering process is adjusted, then I've got lots of different ones here on YouTube. For example, the Red Fox tutorial is one, and that layering process there shows how to put those vibrant colours in first and add your lights and darks to it. So as I've mentioned, if you are drawing a blanket that is more of that colourful look, then those layering techniques that I show in that video would work well. I do hope this video has been useful. If it was, I'd be very grateful if you could give it a like and a thumbs up. It makes a huge difference to my channel. I also upload a couple of videos to YouTube every week, so if you would like to get notified of that content, then don't forget to hit the subscribe and the bell button. If you would like to draw along to the real-time tutorial of this beautiful Italian Greyhound, then I'll link all of the information to that in the description below. If you do have any questions, feel free to pop them in the comments because I'm more than happy to help if I can. and I'm going to be uploading another video next week. But as always, thank you so much for watching.